Welcome back to the channel for another rousing episode of Platinum Profiles, the show where we take a look at any particular series or a developer, maybe even a publisher, maybe one day we'll do one of those, and we'll chronicle all the platinum trophies that you can still collect in that series as you work towards Platinum Collection Dominance. This one is going to be a fan requested video. A lot of people have requested that I do this series when I started doing platinum profiles, but before we get into what that series is, check out the last episode. That's Sly Cooper. We took a look at all the platinums you can get in that series, so definitely check that one out as well as all the other ones that I've done. But that series that you requested, it's God of War. God of War, a series that I don't have quite as much experience in as the other ones that I've covered on the channel, but I'm still going to do it anyways. I have played through 2018, I've played through Ragnarök, and I've played a little bit of the first game just to get that touchstone flavor of the old God of War games, because you have two distinct eras of God of War games. You have the originals that span from the first God of War going all the way to Ascension, and then you have the new era, which has 2018 and Ragnarök in it, and probably more games to come. But let's actually dive into the list of games that you have in the God of War series that do have platinum trophies. But I will say before we start, there are no games without trophy sets, no games without a platinum trophy, and no games without an unobtainable trophy. So that's good. There could be one of these days that does have an unobtainable trophy, but we'll get into that later in the video. So your list of games for the God of War series that have platinum trophies include God of War HD and God of War 2 HD. That came with the God of War HD collection. That came out at first on the PS3, and then you got a Vita port of both of those. And then because we couldn't stop at just those games, we also rounded in the PSP games. We have God of War Chains of Olympus HD and God of War Ghost of Sparta HD, which formed their own second collection that came out later. Only PS3, no Vita version for that one. And then we got the release of God of War 3 on the PS3. I remember back in the day when that game came out, it was a very, very big moment in the history of video games, really. That game, when that dropped, that was a very hype moment for a lot of people. But it didn't stop there. As we kept going with the series, we got God of War Ascension, which was a prequel, and it included multiplayer into the series. The only time God of War has had multiplayer, which is really weird. We almost had another game with multiplayer, but it got canceled, and that was apparently being made by Blue Point Games. We were going to have a live service God of War game. Blech. I'm glad that got canceled. And then moving on, we had a remastered version of God of War 3, and the reason I include it separate from God of War 3 is because it has a different trophy set than the PS3 version. Slightly different, not very different, but it does have technically a different trophy set. And then you get into the new era games. You have God of War 2018 on the PS4, and you have God of War Ragnarök, which came out for PS5/PC. That shares its own trophy set. And you also have a PS4 version of that game as well. So that's your list of games for God of War. Now we can get into the total number of platinums you can actually get in the series with all versions. And that number is 12. So 12 platinum trophies you can put in your collection for this series. That includes the Vita versions that come for God of War 1 and 2. That includes the PS4 version of God of War Ragnarök. And that also includes all the other ones that have a single version that you can get. And I talked about one of the games having multiplayer. And this is where you get into the only trophy, one single trophy in the whole entire series that is online related. It comes from God of War Ascension. This is the only only online trophy in the whole series. And it's for completing the multiplayer tutorial. So stupid. You don't even have any trophies for playing the actual multiplayer mode itself. It's just you have to complete a tutorial in God of War Ascension for the multiplayer mode. So eventually, the Platinum Trophy is going to be unobtainable thanks to one online trophy should the servers stop. This is so dumb and stupid. During this era when Sony was having like online passes, which this game had one, so you had to pay $10 to access the online if you didn't have the online pass code that came with a new copy of the game. You just have to be aware of that. So do yourself a favor, if you can. If you're going to play this game, just get that out of the way. And even if you're not going to play this right away, just get that out of the way. So that way you can get all the Platinums in this series, including Ascension. Because one day, maybe it's going to be gone. Maybe we won't be able to get the Platinum for Ascension, because they took away the servers for this one dumb trophy. God, that pisses me off. But moving on, now we can talk about the average Platinum difficulty of the series. It ranks in at 3.7 while taking all of the rankings from PSN profiles, which for some of these games, I take a look at their trophy sets and I don't quite agree with. I think they're being pretty generous with that number. I don't think some of these games, which include hard modes, are like 3 out of 10. Personally, I think some of these are a lot more difficult than that, and we're going to go into what the hardest and easiest Platinum trophies in the series are. And starting with the hardest one in the series, this one is very clear cut. If you take a look at the trophy list, that's God of War HD, the first God of War game. This is unlike the rest in that it has a speedrun trophy. None of the other games have a speedrun trophy, but this one has the Speed of Jason McDonald trophy, where you need to beat the first God of War in under 5 hours. Now, apparently 5 hours is a little bit generous if you know what you're doing, but I still think this is pretty difficult if you really think about it. Of course, you can play it on easy mode, but if you don't know the game inside and out, sometimes you can get yourself caught in situations where you're missing certain things or losing time. You have to be pretty knowledgeable about the game to do it. And in general, people get like agita when it comes to speedrun trophies. A lot of people really don't like these. I personally like a good speedrun trophy every now and then. Thankfully, the game doesn't make you play on any particular difficulty, so you don't have to play on hard mode, but you will have to do the Challenge of the Gods once you're done the game. This is something that's common between all the games, or almost all the games, but the Challenge of the Gods is a series of gauntlets that you have to do to complete. I remember these from the 2018 and Ragnarok game, which had their own variation of them, but you have it here as well. This is the first time you can do it, and you're going to play it through God of War 2. I believe it's in God of War 3. I can't remember if it's in Ascension, but it probably is there. Certainly probably for the PSP games as well. It's just a staple of the series. And on top of this, you have a bunch of chapter-specific trophies that are missable, and I don't think this game has chapter select, so if you miss them, you're going to have to come back and do another playthrough to do them. So there's a little bit of worry there. Now, I did say this is the hardest, and I also did say you can play on any difficulty you want, like easy mode. And I also did say that a lot of the other games make you play on the hardest difficulty. So there's a little bit of give and play as to which is the hardest. Like, I don't think this is like leaps and bounds harder than some of the other games in the series. But I also think that speedrun trophy does complicate things. And I think it's enough, along with some of the other trophies that are found in this run, that make God of War HD the hardest one in the series. Now for easiest trophy in the series, this is kind of a toss-up and more preference between 2 or 3 games, really. You've got God of War HD 2 or God of War 2018, or maybe even Ragnarok because of how similar Ragnarok is to 2018. I'm going with God of War 2018. It's the one I have the experience with. And just looking at the trophy list from God of War 2, I think God of War 2018 is easier, especially if you play on the easiest difficulty. Yes, I know you have Valkyries. I know that also makes it a little bit hard. I get it. The Valkyrie fights are certainly difficult, don't get me wrong, but you have some hard stuff in God of War 2 as well, especially the challenge of the gods. Definitely pretty difficult as well. The challenge of the gods in 2018 and Ragnarok, I don't think personally are nearly as difficult looking as the ones in the older titles. And God of War 2018 has all the modern accoutrements of like story difficulty and stuff like that. I know the Valkyries, I get it. I know some of you guys have nightmares still about the Valkyries and them clapping your cheeks, but I still think that 2018 was pretty easy to do relative to the series itself. Certainly a little bit more difficult than modern PlayStation games and PlayStation trophy runs, but this platinum was easy to get for me, and so was Ragnarok, but 2018 has less stuff to worry about. It is more contained, and I think it's a little bit easier than Ragnarok. So we've gone through the hardest and easiest trophies. Now all that's left is to crown what I think is the best platinum in the series. And unfortunately, I haven't played through the whole series to give you like that definitive kind of answer to this question. I have to lean on the ones that I did play, and I loved getting the platinum for God of War 2018. Especially in conjunction with the story, which I thought was riveting. I don't think they landed the plane very well with Ragnarok. Unfortunately, when you build up something that hype, especially with the way the first game ends, it's hard to live up to expectations. Everybody's gonna have like a different thing that they want and a different direction that the story should go in. Unfortunately, Ragnarok didn't go in the direction that I thought it was going to go, but still a good game at the end of the day. But 2018, what an experience. I loved getting the platinum for that game. I loved doing the Valkyrie fights, even though they were kicking my ass. Especially that last one. That one kicked my ass real hard, and it took me a long time to beat that. The Valkyrie Queen can kiss my ass. But yeah, 2018 is a very great platinum experience, and I think it's one of the best, and people voted for this thing when we did our best platinums of all time ranking. People certainly voted for this. It made it very, very high in the list, in the rankings. It almost took the crown. So I'm giving it to God of War 2018. I know there might be one that I'm missing from the original games that maybe it's a really great platinum run as well. I just have to stop fooling around and get to those games and give them their shine and play through them. Now is a good time, now that there's a lull in a sequel or like a new game coming for the God of War series. It seems like it's going to be a while before something comes out. I should just plow through those other games and see what the old Kratos is all about. But I do also want you guys to let me know in the comment section what you think is the best platinum trophy in the God of War series. What's the hardest one for you? What was the easiest one for you if you've played through the games? Any and all thoughts about this, and put it in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Check out my Transformers channel if you love Transformers in any way, shape, or form. Thank you for spending some time here on the Platinum experience with the Platinum Profile series, which you guys are digging. I'm happy that you guys are watching and loving the series. Keep your recommendations coming because I might do more. I hope all your trophy hunting expeditions go incredibly well. Whether you're in the Greece lands or in the Norse lands, doesn't matter. I hope it goes well. Peace out.